I know for sure that the rabbi himself would have tremendous nachat seeing us getting together like this. This itself was his joy. I remember sitting at a class, and any time somebody would walk in, whether it was Meir Asulin, whether it was this one, whoever it was, you'd see him light up. And again, it's something interesting. The Torah, the halacha says that if a person has a close friend and they haven't seen him for 30 days, they make a beracha, shechianu v'kimanu v'gianu lazman hazeh. Shechianu means that I receive new life. What do you mean new life? You died? Somebody died. Who died? The answer is that a person who understands properly what a Jew is and what a fellow Jew is knows that when a person sees a fellow Jew, especially people who study Torah together, it's life. It's life itself. It's an injection of life. It warrants making a bracha, shechianu, shechianu. In fact, the Torah goes so far to say that if you haven't seen such a person in 12 months, you make a bracha, mechayeh hametim. Hashem who brings the dead back to life. Who's dead? I was dead. I was missing a piece of my life. You are my life. That was the feeling that every student of the rabbi had, that we were a major part of his life, and therefore he was a major part of our life. There's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot where one of the greatest rabbis, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, said to his students, I want you to go out to the world and study the world and come back and tell me what's the most important thing in life. He had 5 students, each one of them a super giant. And the Mishnah says one of them came back and said the most important thing in life is a good friend. Chaver tov. If a person has a good friend, they have everything, a real good friend. The next one said a good neighbor. What's the difference between a good neighbor and a good friend? Accessibility. A good friend could live 20 miles away or 2,000 miles away. A neighbor is next door. We can see each other often. We can get to each other easily. The third opinion said it's a good eye. A person who has a good eye, meaning a person who's not envious or jealous of anything that anyone else has. It's a person who feels that he has everything he needs. A person who's totally satisfied with a minimum, and is not lacking in anything at all whatsoever. The fourth rabbi came back and said, it's a good heart, lev tov. A person who has a good heart, again, has a happy life. And the fifth one said, haroeh et hanolad. A person who doesn't just see what's right in front of them, they can see ahead. And therefore they can guide, they can advise people. In order to advise a person, generally you need to know, if I do this now, what's going to happen a year from now? What's going to be 5 years from now, etc. And I was thinking today of the rabbi, and it was all 5 in 1. All 5 in 1. Anyone who had a relationship with him felt that he was a best friend. A person who had only my good in mind, no personal need whatsoever. He didn't need anything from anyone. He was just giving, looking to give. And accessibility. Everybody knows that today to get to a rabbi, to get to a doctor, this, that, you got to make an appointment 6 months in advance, and you need protection. Who can get me in to see this rabbi? What do I have to do to get in? And this rabbi, you would dial 9 numbers, and he would answer the phone. No secretaries, no one in the way, no one blocking. He didn't need anybody blocking for him. He was available, accessible, and more than happy to give, to share words of Torah, to share words of advice. In terms of authority, here again, especially in the world of Chassidut and Kabbalah, we know that there are many people running around offering berachot, offering sigulot, all kinds of things, and people wonder, Does this person really have the authority? Are they qualified to do it? The rabbi in his simple house, in his one-bedroom house, had a few signs on the wall, simple things. Lavdil, a person comes into a doctor's office, and they see a diploma from this university, this university. The rabbi had his smichas, his ordination, from some of the greatest rabbis in the United States, Rabbi Avraham Yafen, Zichron Livracha, the rabbi of rabbis, great rabbis in Israel, where they wrote very clearly in his ordination that this person is totally qualified to answer any question in the entire Torah, Shas Bavli, Shas Yerushalmi, all 4 sections of Shulchan Aruch, qualified to be a judge in a Bedin, Zohar HaKadosh, Kabbalah, everything. This was written clearly in the ordination to know that he's 100% qualified by these elderly rabbis in Yerushalayim, in Israel, in America, who all signed on his behalf. Now here again, we have rabbis today. There are rabbis that teach Kabbalah. There are rabbis that teach children. Find a rabbi, a single rabbi, who can give classes in Tikkunei Zohar, who gave a shiur over a 12-year period in the greatest depth of Tikkunei Zohar, including all the writings of the Arizal in the teaching of the Tikkunei Zohar, and at the same time teaching the stories of the Gemara to Syrian businessmen and kids, and at the same time taking kids who are under bar mitzvah and preparing them for bar mitzvah lessons. One individual who covered the full spectrum, who was 100% equally comfortable teaching the deepest parts of Kabbalah and the stories of the Gemara. It flowed. It just flowed beautifully. It was all part of Hashem's Torah. It didn't matter at all. The Zohar HaKadosh says, when we speak about the qualities of Hashem, Lecha Hashem hagidula, v'hagevura, v'hatiferet, v'hanetzach, v'hahod, ki chol b'shamayim u'v'aretz. The words ki chol are b'gematria yesod. Yesod means foundation, which is a nickname for a tzaddik. A tzaddik is called tzaddik yesod olam. And the Zohar HaKadosh says that the quality of tzaddik is something that's b'shamayim u'v'aretz. It reaches to the highest places and reaches down to the lowest places. And in fact, Rabbi Nachman writes this, that in order for a person to have that title tzaddik, he's got to be someone who could show the most advanced rabbis that they still have a lot to learn, that there's still a lot they don't know, and at the same time he has to have the ability to reach down to people who are totally non-observant, non-religious, and make them feel very close and connected to Hashem. And this was something that we saw. We saw it with our own eyes, this incredible ability. I want to share, people like to hear personal stories sometimes. One of the stories that stands out in my mind, it's something simple, but shows a level of giving, how much a person wants to give. It's a custom in many places that when a couple gets married, a person takes a son-in-law, they buy the bride, they buy the fiancé gifts, they buy the groom gifts. So one of the gifts is a set of Shas, a set of Talmud, Gemarot. And sure enough, shortly after I got engaged, the rabbi said, your Shas is waiting for you. He had gone to the Lower East Side, he borrowed someone's car, he didn't own a car, borrowed a car, drove to the Lower East Side, went to pick up a Shas, 20 volumes, tall Gemarot, and brought it back to his house, waiting, ready. As soon as we get an apartment, your Shas is ready. I was appreciative, excited, and sure enough, after I got married, we put the Shas in the shelves, beautiful, tall, nice, tall Gemarot, that was the custom at that time. A few weeks after I got married, I wasn't feeling well. I had gotten mono, and I was sleeping most of the day for a period of like 2 weeks. And one day, my wife comes in and she says, do you know that my father was here today? I said, no, I didn't know at all. She said, do you know what he brought? I said, no, what did he bring? She said, he brought a new Shas. I said, I thought we have a Shas. She said, yeah, but he wasn't satisfied with that one because the Gemarot were tall. He felt it would be harder for you to take out to learn. He wanted something. They had just come out with a brand new Shas that was printed in Ireland for the first time in history, using unusual quality paper that made it very, very easy to read, and a little bit of a smaller size, easier to handle everything. So he went by himself, boxed up the old Shas, all the other 20 volumes in like 5-6 cartons. We were on the 5th floor. He took it to the elevator, took it down the 5 floors, brought it to the car, borrowed somebody's car, brought it back to the Lower East Side, and got the guy to take it back and trade it in for this newer, better edition, because he wanted to make sure that I had something that was easy to use, that there'd be no question at all that would be put to good use. Just a level of detail and a level of dedication of doing something right, doing something perfect. Small things. The Gemara says when the rabbis of the Gemara would come to Israel, they would bend down and kiss the ground. You'll take movies, you'll follow people, religious people getting off the plane to Israel today or over the past 50 years. 1 in 5,000 or 1 in 10,000 people will do that. But every one of the rabbi's students was given this education and an appreciation for holiness, to know that this is something like you kiss your tefillin, like Eretz Israel is called Eretz HaKodesh. It's something holy, something special, something that you revere. And again, a rabbi who took care of matzot for Pesach, and wine, and tefillin, and mezuzot, and shofar, every facet of religion. There wasn't a single item that he didn't provide for his students. It was like automatic. Somebody needed etrog. He would go to Israel and bring back 40 etrogim, and he would work on each one. People saw the level of knowledge in halakha, knowing exactly what's considered acceptable, what's prime and what's premium, what's the best, and pick out for his students to try to get each one something that would be a quality product. I want to mention one story in closing that the rabbi himself told over several times that I think has a very important message for us. The Gemara says these 5 rabbis who were sent by Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai to go out to the world and come back and report what's the most important thing, the rabbi said about these 5 students that one of them, Rabbi Eliezer, is so great that if you put him on one side of the scale and all the other students on the other side, he outweighs all, he's better than all of them put together. And then he said, but I have another student, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach, that if you put him on one side of the scale and all the other students with Rabbi Eliezer, he's better than all of them. This rabbi, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach, was something extraordinary. The Gemara says, when their rabbi passed away, when Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai passed away, all the students stuck together and they moved to Yavne. Yavne was a city of Torah. They knew they needed to be in a place of Torah, and they knew they needed to keep together in order to be able to remember and retain what they had received from their rabbi, the tradition, the knowledge, everything. This one rabbi who was the greatest of all of them, his wife said to him, you don't need them, they need you. You're the chief. You come with me. And the Gemara says they went to a place, Damascus, there are different names that are given to the city. And they went there, they stayed by themselves, the other students were all together. The Gemara says that this rabbi ended up forgetting his learning, forgetting his Torah to such an extent that when he met up with his friends years later, they opened the Sefer Torah and they asked him, can you read? And he said, sure. And he started reading the words, HaChodesh Hazer Lachem Rosh Chodoshim. This month is the first of the month, referring to Nasan. And there were 3 letters there that are very similar. Each letter is similar to a Resh and a Dalet, are easy to confuse. And a Yud and a Zayin. He confused 3 letters there. And instead of HaChodesh Hazer Lachem, he read it Hachresh Haya Libam. Their hearts were stuffed. Their hearts were stuffed, meaning their hearts were closed. And again, this was implying about himself that even though he was so great, He was the king of all the students, but because he had separated, he thought he didn't need anybody else. He could do it alone. He ended up forgetting his learning to such an extent. The Gemara says his friends didn't say, that'll show you. His friends got together and they prayed for him and they restored his learning. They brought back his learning. Now, the chiddush that Rabbi Rosenfeld said on this, and this is not written in any of the other Sifarim, is that the three letters that he replaced were Resh, Bet, Yud, Rabbi, meaning that the letters that he confused were showing what the mistake was here. That people who are privileged to have a very great rabbi, one of the ways that we show that we realize what a privilege it was and how great it is by not losing that connection. Not losing that connection to the rabbi means by not losing the connection to each other. We know that even Moshe Rabbeinu, when he went to do battle against Amalek, he didn't go alone, he didn't do it. Which Jew, if there's any Jew that could say, I don't need any help, I don't need any assistance, would be Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu put together a team, an A-team. Aharon and Hur, they supported his hands. Yoshua went out to handle a physical battle. And the Pasuk says, Hinei matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How beautiful and sweet it is when brothers stick together, when there's unity. And the Midrash says that the word achim is Aharon, Hur, Yehoshua, Moshe. That Moshe Rabbeinu himself gave us an example that when you want to do battle against our enemies, against Amalek is called the Reshit Goyim, the chief of all the adversaries, the only way we could win is if there's a unity, if there's people together. Hashem should help that the unity that's here tonight is that Hashem. Those that are here tonight, and a few hours ago in Israel, there were about 400 or 500 people that got together to have a similar Suda. The students of this great rabbi should be zocher through our unity to continue to support the things that he believed in, that he considered special, the printing of the books, the yeshivot, the rabbis, the poor people, and in that zechut we should be zocher together to see the coming of the Mashiach, Binyan Beit HaMikdash, Amen.